All right, so we are live. We have a massive thing that's about to happen to the car market right now, and that is that the negotiations are starting for the UAW contracts. Now, we have a few things at play here that's going to make this very difficult for both sides. One, we have a new UAW president that's coming in, and he's got to basically put his foot down to show that he is in control, that he is the right man for the job. And then on the other side, you have the Detroit 3 that are actually having big time issues right now, but their earnings are not showing that. So why that makes it so complicated for them is that they're showing these good numbers, these good sales. They're saying demand is great, but their supply continues to grow. They're not doing any kind of production cuts, and I really believe that the reason that they're not coming out with any of these production cuts when they know that they need to, when they know that their days of supply keeps just going up and up and up and up, is because they probably fear that this strike is going to happen. And whenever this strike happens, obviously production's going to just get just demolished. So you see a lot of these trucks that are just stacking up everywhere. We see these dealers. If you watch my channel, you see all these dealerships I'm going to, and the levels of F-150s, these Ram 1500s, they're just stacking on top of each other at these dealerships. And I think that's kind of by design, because these automakers, they know that they're heading into these negotiations not really on the right foot, because they've turned in these good earnings when they've been packing dealers, when they've been keeping their margins high. And that's going to give these unions just a lot of leverage to come in and say, look, you're making so much money, your margins are great, you're saying demand is great, so you know what, we need more money. And one of the things that the unions have actually demanded is 40% increase of wages, and also to drop down to a 32-hour work week. Obviously, this is shooting for the moon, and they're not going to get that, but they want to start very high to try to see if they can at least get something that's similar to what they want. But they know that they're going to have to take a step down. That's how these negotiations always work. The problem is that Ford, Stellantis, GM, they've stated in all these earning calls that they're wanting to go forward with lots and lots of expense cuts. Right. So they're trying to bring down their actual costs to stay in business. And this is going to go against what's going to have to come out of these negotiations to meet in the middle. They're going to have to spend a lot more money on wages. They're going to have to spend a lot more money on benefits. And this is not something that they feel like they can do right now, because they're so worried about the future. They're so worried about the headwinds that are coming forward. And this is a big reason why you see really Ford and GM, they came out with their earnings. They beat and they raised. And this is perfect for the stock market. This is what the stock market loves. A beat and a guide up usually means, okay, they're going to pop the stock 5-10%. But what happened? Both of their stocks right after these earnings calls dropped about 5%. And it's because, you know what, the stock market can see through these numbers and see what's coming ahead. And they're really worried about what's on the horizon with these negotiations. And I think there's really a silver lining in here that's good for the manufacturers and not so good for the union, because these manufacturers know that they've been stocking up on a lot of these trucks. They know that they've been pushing production when maybe they should have cut, and they're able to actually build some inventory. And if these strikes happen and production has to cut back, then you know what? They don't have to blame the lack of demand. They don't for this inventory build. They don't have to. Mix that up. So they don't have to blame. They have a way to push the production cut reason to the actual negotiations, and not necessarily because they have to cut because demand is so weak. And this is something that I think they know that they can talk to shareholders about, saying that they're, you know what, they're just pushing the blame off on the unions. And I really think the manufacturers know this, and that's something that they might be looking forward to, and gives them the upper hand in these negotiations, because they might not be too quick to want to actually come to a compromise, because they know that they'll have to keep the production up, and there's just no demand for it, even though they're saying that there's demand for these trucks. I do have my wife with me here. She is going through the chat. So if you have questions, send them through, and she'll pop one up here in the near future, I'm sure. But another thing I want to say just about these unions is Stellantis actually came through with an offer for the union, and the new union president, he basically on in public took the contract, said everything that was wrong with it, and held up a trash can and just slam dunked it straight into the trash can and said, you know what, we're not doing this. You're not even close. And you've got to come up with something better. And the problem with that is, if he wants to make a name for himself, he's going to go at them strong. And you know what? Ford, GM, Stellantis, they just can't spend the kind of money that it's going to take to get a deal done right now. So I really think they're just going to be absolutely headbutting these unions for the foreseeable future. And now let's talk about what it's going to do. So this is a car market related channel. What could these strikes potentially do to the price of these vehicles? So we know that they've been pumping vehicles into these dealers. Dealers are stacking up. If you've seen any of these dealerships, you watch any of my videos, you know that there's trucks after trucks after trucks everywhere. So they are actually stocked enough to do that. But if we get through this time frame where there's a strike that's actually elongated and they can't have any production for months, then what you're going to see is they're going to keep their prices elevated. This is a way to actually keep their margins up, because they're not going to want to discount and run out of vehicles. So this could be a way for especially the dealerships that know that they're not going to be getting any new vehicles if we go on strike. They're going to keep their prices elevated. You're going to see these add-ons, these addendums, these market adjustments. They're going to stay on, because these dealerships have recently gone through a time in the last 3 years where it was hard for them to get vehicles. They don't want to return to that again. And if they fear that, they're going to keep prices very, very high, even if they're not selling that many, because interest rates are so high and prices are still high and people can't afford them. But that fear of them not being able to reload their inventory is going to be far greater than them thinking, you know what, we just need to move vehicles, because if they move them, they're not going to be able to replace them. That's what they're going to be scared of. And that might be a big driver for these unions to really not be able to get anything I'm not saying they won't get anything they want, but it's going to be very, very hard for them to move forward with that. All right, Mama, what you got for me?
That's me, Mama. This
is
CQA.
Mama is Miss CQA.
I don't know if you normally call me that in these.
I think I do.
I don't know.
All right, you got a question?
I have some super chats. So
I think we should start with money. Please don't give us money.
We've got John Campbell. You can read this.
Pug farts are disgusting.
I felt like that was important too.
Next question.
All right. This one is from Auburn alum. We see this one a lot. My grandpa worked for GM on the factory line, and he quickly found out that the UAW is out for the UAW, not for the workers.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about just unions in general. A lot of times they're actually there to raise money and take dues for themselves. I don't know about the actual UAW. I can tell you, so the UAW president, he has been on the internet quite a bit. If you want to share this with him, I think he's got a YouTube channel. They've got a YouTube channel. If he wants to come on our channel and just give their side, I will give him a platform for that. So you can share this with him. And if he wants to come on here and talk about it, then I would love to talk to him about it. Next question.
Oh, next question. Okay. We've got a comment here, 50 grand for a truck. That's crazy. Just crazy.
That's low end for a truck. Most of the trucks that we're seeing are 80, 90, I mean, 70, 80, $90,000. And we went on a Ford dealership two weeks ago. The cheapest F-150 we found on their dealership, I think, was like $62,000. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And this Ford dealership, they easy 200 trucks. Baby, how many trucks do you think they had on that lot? It had to be 200. Had to be 200 trucks. And the cheapest one we found, $62,000, F-150. They had a Maverick out there, but it was already sold. But I think they had like a $6,000 markup on it. Maverick, you can debate whether it's a truck or not. But it was still like, in the 30s. So you're not going to find anything remotely cheap out there. Even saying, okay, the Maverick is a cheap truck, if you want to call it a truck. It's still going to be 25 plus, and they're going to have market adjustments on top of it because you can't find them, and you can't find them. So trucks are crazy.
And that means that it's time for me to
That means it is time for the next thing for us to talk about.
We're getting a lot of comments coming in. So I'm just going to put up. Oh, by the way, we did have one person that send out a gifted membership.
So nice. Yeah, we're going to do a membership, a members only live chat after this.
Yes. All right. We have several questions from Alan, so I might just try to switch it up a little bit, make sure we can get a different group. But which vehicle make and model do you see the most at auction?
If I have to say a make, it's probably Toyotas and Hondas that are it's just because they've sold more vehicles and F-150. So it's just going to come down to percentages of what has been sold the most is what you're going to see come up at these auctions, because when people go to buy a new car, then they're trading in their old car, and it's really just the higher percentage vehicles that are actually purchased over the last 6 to 7 years. Those are the ones that you want to see pop up at auction. But you might be wanting to know about maybe repos too, because we've covered that a little bit. Seeing a lot of Challengers, Chargers, Mustangs, Camaros pop up in these toys, pop up as repos, and just a lot of the really older vehicles that are trash. It's just an even mix on that. A lot of Toyotas, Honda. Actually, not a lot of Toyotas for repos, but quite a bit of Hondas too, as far as repos go.
Sorry about that.
Do I need to key you in when I'm done?
Or? It would be great, but I'm honestly not listening to you.
Oh, perfect. So, why are you even here? Why am I here? Why are any of us here?
I don't know. We can, talk about that for a little while so I can catch up on the questions. All right. What do you think about Dodge vehicles? I think they're trash, especially their transmissions.
I get a lot of flack about this, but is flack the right word? I think flack is the right word.
It'll work.
Dodge trucks are some of the ugliest things on the road, I think. I don't know. I've never owned one, so I don't know how well they drive. I don't know how they feel, if they're good mechanically, bad mechanically. I know the older ones, they have bad transmissions, bad motors, but the newer ones. But the Ram trucks, I think the front ends, the way that they put the hood scoops on a lot of the ones that are a few years older, they're just so ugly, and the interiors don't look good. I saw one, I think it's a Rebel, that I like the interior of, but I just think they're hideous. I know the ones that are a little bit older, and the ones that I would buy, the ones that are really old, like 20 plus years old, transmissions were always a problem. Motors were always a problem. You had to be very particular about a Dodge truck. I haven't had those same kind of issues with F-150s. You got some motor issues with the F-150s, but not at the same extent that I've dealt with Dodges and GMs. At least the trucks that I've bought have seemed to be a little bit better. Now, I will say that the GMs we've had less problems out of, but if I have an F-150, so I actually like the F-150s a little bit better. I've got a 2017 that I'm driving right now. But before that, I had a GMC Sierra. I think it was a 2015. And between those two trucks, I actually liked the Sierra better. But it started to develop some issues. And it was a lot of electrical stuff. But then I bought this F-150 and basically had to go in and do all the timing and valves and just everything inside the motor. We had to go in and redo it, and it's a 2017, so it's 6 years old. So that's just personal anecdote, so take that as you will. And somebody just asked, did I dump 4,000 into my engine in my F-150? No, it was not 4,000. It was
46 right at it.
$4,600, but we did everything. So there you go. That's my story about F-150s. And I just said Dodges are crap, but I just had to spend $4,600 on my F-150. That's 6 years old.
Yes, that's accurate.
Next question.
All right.
Comment.
Question and comment. Oh, we just got a super chat. So let's just put that up there. This is Gil. Remember Gil?
I remember Gil.
Yep.
Jill.
No,
Jill.
not Jill.
Yeah.
Thank you for your help buying a new Gladiator at 22% off MSRP. 34,500, no dealer fee or gimmicks. The knowledge you share is valuable. That is awesome.
That is awesome to get 22% off. See, they've already bought it. So okay, so there wasn't anything thrown in or anything. That is a testament to say that Jeep is hurting for them to be, because a year ago, 18 months ago, they were selling that same Gladiator with a market adjustment up of about $10,000. So that same Gladiator probably would have been somewhere around $55,000 plus whatever extra fees or whatever you needed to get on top of that because of the scarcity, right? So that's just a showing what a huge move that the market has made just in the last 12 months, that you're getting almost like a $20,000 discount of where we were to where we are now. But that's crazy. We're going to start seeing more of that. What I look for next, the next brand to really have these crazy mark-offs that we're starting to see in Stellantis is going to be Ford, because there is an F-150 problem. After we get out of these union negotiations and whatever happens, really the worst case scenario, I think, for the automakers is that they come to an agreement very quickly and there's no strike. That's the worst thing ever, because I think then they're going to have to say, okay, you know what? We got to halt some production because we've got trucks still coming out and our dealers aren't selling them. So I really look for Ford to be the next one to start cutting some prices after we get through negotiations and if they come to an agreement. Next question.
All right. Sorry, I wasn't ready again.
What are you doing?
There's a lot of questions. Here's a good one. Did Alex donate his hair yet?
Alex did not donate his hair. I tried to get him to cut his hair and get you guys to subscribe to be able to get his hair cut.
We don't have enough subs.
And we did not get enough subscribers on that video. And just a side note, what I was going to do anyway is basically give him $1,000 to cut off his hair and hand him a razor and say, look, if you want to do it, you can. If not, don't worry about it.
Yeah, a lot of people were very upset that Brandon was going to make him cut his hair.
I was not going to make him cut his hair.
I think what people don't know is that he's your cousin. So you
Alex is my cousin.
Can talk to each other that way. Yeah. And so sometimes when you are very rude and pushy with Alex, it's not really, because that's literally the way they talk to each other.
And for those of you that don't know, Mrs. CQA is actually my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Well, I'm glad we cleared that up.
All right. Next question.
Great. We just got a super, well, it's not a super chat, super sticker, I don't know what it is when there's not any words on it. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Scott. It looks like $5 to me is what it is.
It does appear to be $5 for you. All right. I'm just going to click on some just here and there. What is the wholesale price on an F-150 that you're seeing?
A wholesale price? I mean,
you don't see a lot.
We don't see any. You don't really see new F-150s pop up. But like on mine was a 2017, had 80,000 miles. I paid $15,000 for it wholesale. So that's kind of the range that you're seeing. If it's 5 or 6 years old, around 100,000 miles or less, you're seeing anywhere from 15,000 up to all the way. I've seen 25,000. Depends on how nice it is, what package is in there. And then you would assume that dealers are probably marking them up anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000, especially when you get to the higher range. They're marking them up quite a bit. Next question.
All right. Let's see. This is a broader topic, but perhaps it would be better if manufacturers could sell directly to the consumer.
It would, but it's never going to happen. So they are these dealerships are protected by the states to make it where the manufacturers actually have to go through the dealerships to sell these vehicles. That's why Tesla has such an advantage when it comes to pricing, and because there's no other person to step in the way. But when you look at Ford, GM, Stellantis, whenever they're actually sending their vehicles out with an MSRP, it doesn't matter if they cut. I'll give you an example. So Ford just came out and said that they're reducing their prices of their F-150 Lightnings up to 17% because they're not selling, right? And we just went to a Ford dealership 2 weeks ago, and there was an MSRP on this Ford Lightning that we saw, but beside of it had a markup of $10,000. So Ford can lower the prices, their MSRPs, down to zero if they want to, but it doesn't matter. All that matters is what the dealer wants to sell it for, how much market adjustment they want to put on it, and that's the end price for these vehicles is what the dealer says. So manufacturer, yeah, they put an MSRP on it, whatever. That's all well and good. They could knock their MSRPs down 20%, but if you have dealers that add on 20% on top of the MSRP, it's a losing battle for these OEMs. If they want to actually decide to do the right thing by the customer and start lowering their prices, you're going to have manufacturer lower their prices, and you're going to have dealers want to lower their prices to make it better for the consumer. And I think the dealer side of it is going to be much harder to get to do the right thing by the consumer than the manufacturer. Because you got to think too, the manufacturer, they have shareholders. So if they start turning in these numbers that are just absolute garbage, and they say, okay, we're not moving any trucks, then they're going to have to say, okay, we got to lower our prices so we can actually move out some vehicles to show that to shareholders to say, okay, we're doing something to lower the prices. But these franchise dealerships, there's only a few of them out there that are actually publicly traded, but most of them are owned by a single person or a few partners or whatever, and they don't report to anyone but themselves. So they can make their own rules, and they're protected by legislation to be able to do whatever they want to do, because there are a lot of lawmakers, a lot of people in Congress, a lot of people that sign these papers to make things run. They have hands in some of these dealerships, and that's sad, but that's the truth. So
Scott, who sent the $5 earlier, added a comment, so I wanted to share it. Just wanted to say thanks for all you do. Wife bought a 2013 Honda Fit for $73,818, has 160,000 miles. Great wisdom.
So I love that they put the exact dollar amount, because I'm hoping that they went in there and they knew exactly what they wanted to pay. And they're like, you know what? I'm not spending any amount over like $7,500 or whatever it was to try to get the out the door price. But him saying $73,818 makes me think that he knew exactly what his out the door price was, whether he financed it or not. Hopefully he didn't finance it. Hopefully you pay cash for a car so you don't have any debt. But even so, knowing that number, there's so many people that go in and buy a car. It's like, okay, I want to buy this car. What's my monthly payment going to be? I need my monthly payment to be this. And they have no clue what they're actually paying for the car. So I love seeing that comment, and hopefully watching this channel, other people that are watching this channel, they'll know to actually dig into the numbers and know exactly what they're paying for the car and not just what they're paying monthly for a car. Great job, Scott. Love it. Actually, that seems like a good deal for it too.
All right. Do you see Subarus as long-lasting vehicle? How many miles do they average?
I like Subarus, and we buy quite a few. Actually, we buy a lot of Subarus. We like Outbacks, and I see them pop up at auctions all the time with 250,000 miles. So they can run for a very long time. You have to take care of them. The only thing that concerns me with the Subaru, I think it's the Boxer motors. I think it's the 2.5s. They could have some head gasket issues. So you want to make sure when you're going to look at a Subaru, anytime you're looking at any used vehicle, my number one rule for you is find a good reputable mechanic first, and then take the used vehicle to the mechanic to have them check it out before you buy it. But if you're looking at it by yourself, you can check the oil. If you see anything milky, something that looks kind of milkshake-y, that's not a word, like a milkshake in your oil, any kind of chunky, anything like that, that could possibly mean head gasket. And that's my biggest concern for a Subaru. But other than that, if you get it checked out, I like Subarus a lot.
Do you see a drop in price for diesel trucks coming anytime soon?
I've already started seeing it at auctions. So there's this small auction that you see a lot on my channel. Go there weekly. There's a lot of trucks that usually run there, a lot of heavy duty trucks too. And we're starting to see a lot of no sales and a lot of if bids come across on diesel trucks. And that means that the sellers still want a crazy amount for it, but the buyers are down here. They're saying they want to pay this much for it. And they really just haven't got that middle ground. And as you see these no sales continue to roll into these auctions, eventually sellers will say, you know what, we can't sell it for up here. So they'll slowly start to pull down price and they'll finally get to the buyer level down here. And when the buyers are able to actually buy these trucks at the auction for the amount that they're trying to get them for, without these no sales, without these if bids, that's when you can see the turnover on dealer lots, as far as the prices to start rolling down a little bit. It's going to still take some time because you have to have prices drop at auction. You have to have all these no sales come through the system before sellers actually say, you know what, we've got to drop prices. When the sellers that then drop the prices, then you're going to have used car dealers buy these vehicles and still think they can get the moon for them. But then you see them, okay, we've got competition. We've got other dealers that are buying these vehicles for these less amounts, just like we are, and they're starting to lower their prices. And that's when you start having all of the dealers move prices down, because people right now, they shop by price. They don't go to dealers that they bought from before unless they're coming to our dealership. We got a lot of repeats and referrals just because we have cheap cars. That's what we're known for. But people are coming to us because of cheap prices. But people search online for their prices. That's how they buy cars now. And as we start seeing some dealers lower their prices, it's going to force other dealers to lower their prices, because they're not going to be selling anything, because people shop price and they shop online now, and that's how they find their vehicles.
I love criticism. Good host, but he talks to Alex in a very mean way.
Yeah, he's my cousin, and you should see him talk to me outside. No, Alex is very reserved, and me and him are basically brothers, and maybe I do talk to him maybe the way I should sometimes, but we've just known each other for, 34 years, and we've been around each other for our whole lifetimes. And he can take it, and he gives it to me, and I can take it.
They do know each other very well, know that line.
Yep.
So anyway, he does joke around, but it's very difficult for everybody to know that relationship on there.
I don't have a biological brother, but Alex is the closest thing to a brother that I have on this earth.
And so we are at time.
Awesome. Let's okay. Let's cut it here. Thank you guys for coming in. We're going to do a members only
yeah, and there was
live chat right after this. So if you haven't, go ahead. Sorry.
Is basically what you're about to say. There was a question earlier about the memberships, and are they you have to pay for them now? There was never a free membership. YouTube doesn't allow it. It's not an option for us to create a free membership. But what it is, just kind of a place where we can just kind of be a little bit more relaxed, and it's not as many people in there. So
and I can promise you that if you get into that members only chat, if you have a question, I will absolutely answer it, because we have a small group right now, and that's what we do, is we answer your questions in there. So thank you guys for watching. If you haven't, like, subscribe, and have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.